Hi everybody, I am Carol with CarolJo's. CarolJo's is an online jewelry and accessory business for women, and I am live today on two social medias. I am on YouTube over here and TikTok over here. So I am waiting for the systems to notify everybody that I am live. So I'm going to pause for a moment and wait for everybody to come in. And I'm also going to be bringing up my backup account so I can read comments a little bit easier on TikTok. So welcome in, everybody. Hold on. And then, of course, at least he didn't call me this time. My husband decided to text me. Hi, it's Michelle. I saw that on Zuli, so I hope you're okay with me saying Michelle, just a lady, 1990. I'm just texting my husband really quick. Okay, got him taken care of. Hi, Zuli. So just a little bit about what we do here. I am live 6 days a week on TikTok, and I'm still just starting out here on YouTube. So my YouTube is more about 4 times a week or so. But when we go live, I do different things. 2 days a week, we do tutorials, and I'll be live both on TikTok and on YouTube with those. Twice a week we do chats. Same thing. I'll be alive on both devices or both social medias at that time. Once a week we have bead sales, and that is on Tuesday nights, and that I do on TikTok only. Fridays I do jewelry sales. When I do jewelry sales, I'm live on both my Facebook group and also hi Sour Rose, and also on TikTok and my Facebook group. We're live in those too. Friday nights, I go live a second time. It will either be beads or jewelry. Last night we did beads, so this next Friday will be jewelry. And then Saturdays, I go live sometime between 8 and, or not 8, I don't get up that early on Saturdays, sometime between 10 and 2. All the times that I'm giving are going to be Central Time. Monday through Thursday are 8 o'clock. Fridays are different times. You can go and follow me on my Facebook page, and that is where I post my live, what we're doing on each live and where I'll be live at. So today is a chat day. So if you have any questions, go ahead, put them in the chat, and then we answer them here. It is really, truly meant to be to ask questions on how you would like to ask about creating jewelry, about running a small business, any type of question you have. We were just on Zuli's live on TikTok, and there was a question on hers that we're bringing over here and getting my thoughts on it to share with everybody. Hi, is it Carberg 10? And so we're going to start off with that one. I know it wasn't in our chat here, but I will rephrase it. If I get it wrong, Michelle, please put it in the chat. And that is, what do you do when anxiety hits you while you're creating? Because what happens is you just become so overwhelmed that you shut down and you don't create anything. And Zuli gave some really great tips over on her page about your environment. And when she was talking about that, my thoughts that were throwing through my head, even before she said, let's follow up over on mine, is I actually work better when I have some sound around me, whether it be music or the TV. I need background noise. So for me personally, I can't have a quiet room. I have to have something going on behind me, but I'm usually not concentrating on that sound, if that makes sense. But if it's too quiet, I can't do anything. I just shut down and I'm like, this is weird. It's just me personally. So what I've found is to be able to spend time, because we are also talking about in Zuli's the home work balance. I sit next to my husband on the couch. I grab a cookie sheet and put down my bead mat, and I have my containers that you can see in my trays back here are very easy to move. So if I want to create, I can just grab either a tray or a container of them, and I go down. Do I make a lot of trips up and down the stairs? Because my bead room is on the highest level of our house. And so I literally am doing trips back and forth. I get my steps in is what I look at on it, but I'm also sitting next to my husband. And I don't take that time as I had to make so many trips, I can't sit there. But I love just having that noise in the background of his TV show. Yep. And you have to. And then what you're saying about the music is true. I have a friend that cannot work to her favorite music because she spends too much time listening to the music than working. So she ends up putting on like light jazz or, just soothing music for work. So you have to figure out what you can have in the background that isn't going to distract you and allow you just to focus. Another thing that Zuli was talking about was organization. And that's a hard thing to talk about because we are all different human beings and we have to, we work differently. And there's no way to put it. We learn differently and we work differently. So, hi, Rose. So my way of being able to do that is that I have to have everything in its place. You guys see the bead wall behind me. You guys have talked about that it's like almost an OCD because if you really truly look at my beads, they are organized by color and by what it is. So like all my blue glass are together, all my blue porcelain are together, all my blue gemstones are together, the blue acrylics are all together. All the wood are together. The glass, I separate my glass pearls out from my glass, and then my pearls are separated from my glass pearls. So when I know I want to have a certain type of bead, I scratched myself. Ooh, sorry. Squirrel moment. I can go to those tray or trays and look for what I'm looking for. But why I say that's what I need, when my sister comes over and wants to bead with me, she can't do the trays. She cannot do the trays. They are not what she needs to focus on to be able to create. Hers is give her a box of mixed beads together. So like when I get an order in of the beads that I've got, if I hand her a box, she just starts pulling things out and putting things together with what's in that box. One of my other friends, when she comes over, she needs organization, but she can't have this much organization because this overwhelms her. There's too much. She can't make a decision. And that's what it comes down to, and how we let our anxiety go is when you get to that point, you're like, ee. So for her, if she comes over and says, I want to make a blue bracelet, and I just look at her and I go, what shade of blue are you looking for? And she will tell me. I can grab a tray or two then out of here and put it in front of her, and she can grab the bead then. But if I took all of my blues down to where she's beading at, there's too many selections. She can't make a choice. So that's why I'm saying your organization of it is something that you have to figure out. And that is literally one of the hardest things to figure out. But I hope with what I've said, it helps trigger for you. What way do you work? Do you work out of just give me a box and let me pull some stuff out? Are you, I need it all 100% organized, or just give me a little bit? So if you're a little bit, I would say do not grow your bead collection to the size that I have, because that will overwhelm you and you'll never work. Your bead collection will just keep getting bigger. So yeah, but if we've done a tour of my bead room. This is what I use to work off of a majority of the time. I have more bead and chaos behind the camera that you guys don't see. And I am constantly working on that chaos. Just like Zuli said when we were on her live, where she said you need to constantly organize, put everything around. I literally, if you would have walked in here this morning, so last night I had a bead show sitting right here. I had 4 containers of beads that I was selling. Last night, when I got done with the bead sale, I needed to step away. I wasn't at a point where I could flip the switch and start the invoicing last night. Because it was 3 I know it was at least 3 hours and 15 minutes. It might have been closer to 3.5 hours of being live. And that is a lot. It can be just a physical and emotional drain on you that I knew personally I could not invoice. So I walked away from it and spent some time with our family for about an hour last night, and then I went to bed. I woke up this morning and I'm like, I just need me time. And instead of coming in here and like organizing everything and getting that done, I spent an hour reading my book this morning. And then I got on TikTok, got ready for my day. Then I came in while we were on Zulie's live and I was listening, and I organized my bead table where I'm at right now, and I organized for the when I invoice. So sometimes you have to have, where I'm going with this is you have to have that home work. You know, we were talking about it. You have to have your work balance and your home balance. And I knew I needed a break, and I took my break, and now I'm back at it. That's the one good thing about having your own small business, is that you get to set your schedule of when you work. And so I know when I need my time, my downtime. And I know a lot of you talk about, because I work a full-time job and I do this, and I am live 6 days a week. And some of you guys ask, how do I do it? I have a planner that I have everything down in, and I follow that list. And that's where I'm going to talk about next Saturday on the live that we're doing on Zulie's workshop, is about how do you break those down so that you don't do the anxiety thing, because some of that can just take over and then you don't get anything accomplished. Thank you, Carly, for the follow. So I hope that kind of helps you out. And you really just have to find, it is hard. And I am very, very vocal about it, I think, with you guys. And I will tell you, I'm not going to invoice, or I'm not going to do this. I'm going to go have date night with my husband, because finding that balance is very hard. But the thing is that I feel by me being truthful and honest that I need that balance. When I say I need the balance and do that, you guys are so supportive of it that I don't feel anxious about it. I don't feel guilty about it. That's what I love. Thank you, Zulie, for my gingerbread men. So that's why sometimes I share that information, is just so that, oh, thank you, that we get to that balance. And it's okay. And that's the thing that we have to, as human beings, because we may not all be women here. So that's why I'm saying human beings. We have to find that balance. And we have to also give grace to others so that they can have the balance. I have worked for a company. It would have been, I got to think about it. I haven't worked there in 18 years, I think it is. Their expectation, even 18 years ago, as a manager of one of the departments for it, was that I had to work about 60 hours a week. As a single parent, as a of two, my kids at that time were ages 9 and 4. Trying to figure out how to get 60 hours of work week in and have to care for 2 young children was extremely difficult. When I left that company, I made a conscious decision that my home work balance was more important than a paycheck. And when I went to work for another company, they honored that. Hi, Tuesday. And they honored it, and then they allowed me, while I was working for that company, was a year later is when I started having my business. And they were okay and supportive of me having a second business. Even where I'm at today, they're supportive of me being here. You know, one thing that I've talked about is that we do things on the weekends where I work at, and every once in a while I have to back someone up and I'm on it. I know when I'm going to be on for those days, and I can plan my lives around it. There was one that last weekend, um, not last weekend, last in-person show that I did in November. I actually told him I cannot be on call that week if we have anything. And it ended up that the person that I usually back up, he needed time off. So I did one day and he did one day. So we came up with a plan. So having employers that really honor that is a big thing too. And I don't know if most of you have a second job besides having your small businesses. So that it's helpful to have all of that support around you and get that. Yes, I'm so excited for you Tuesday. That is cool. Hi, Chris. So that having that support system also lessens my anxiety. I've never been classified as having anxiety, but when you guys talk about it, I'm like in my head, yep, that's me. Yep, that's me. That's me. And so I never thought about it. I just have figured out what I'm going to say is my coping mechanisms to get me through it. And another thing that when I get into, Zuli talked about the, when you have a creative block, that you don't know, you just can't create. What I tend to do during that time, because of making sure I have enough stock for when I used to do in-person shows, I would just grab a large quantity of one kind of bead and then grab my silver plated beads and gold plated beads. Those are the colors or the metals that I use. And I might grab some black glass and clear glass. And then I just sit down and I create the same pattern in different sizes. And that I just create over and over. So yesterday, when we did my jewelry live at 3 o'clock yesterday, did you guys remember seeing the smoked quartz where I had it in the gold plated and then I had it in silver plated? I also have it on a different area. It wasn't in that section that I was showing, but I have them without any. And the reason why I have those is I made all of those smoky quartz bracelets when I was in a creative block. I ended up getting about 20 bracelets done in that block. And they were going to be, just like Chris is saying, he loves smoky quartz. There's a lot of people who will buy the smoky quartz bracelets. So I utilized what I knew would sell if I made it really easy, instead of making myself feel crappy because I didn't do anything. Because that's what my part is that if I knew I had a day where I was set to create and I got 0 done, at the end of the day, I feel deflated and it spirals me down into, why am I even doing this? I have to think of doing things and at the end of the day, when I did those smoky quartz, it literally allowed me to get something done. And then just like we were talking about on Zuli's, yes, this is a chat session, Karen. When we're talking about what to do when anxiety hits you. We were talking about in Zuli's, now I lost my thought for a second. Oh, crawdads. And that can happen. We can lose our thoughts. Oh, Pinterest, going to Pinterest for ideas or that type of thing. No, you're okay. You're okay. Because it's right around what we're doing here. I will get on and see if there are anybody who is a creator of jewelry that I'm following that's live. If they're live and they're showing what they're making, it can help inspire me to create. Pinterest for me personally is too overwhelming. I have not been one that does a lot on Pinterest because I get overwhelmed with going to Pinterest. It's too much for me personally. You think with all these beads, I would be that way with the beads, but no, but Pinterest does that to me. So you just need to know where your areas are at that you can handle. So for me personally, if I'm having a creative block, I would grab those beads, sit down, and I put on and listen to different lives. And there might be one thing that I'm looking at and going, oh, I could do something similar to that. And then it starts you. I loved Zuli's comment about, organizing your beads. That really works too. Oh, Tuesday, I love that idea because I don't use a bead board. I personally don't. But when I used to use a bead board, and this is why I stopped myself from a bead board, but I like that idea. All my bead boards that I used to use are like this. You have 6 different areas that you can fill up. So you can put, like for me, I would put a bead here, a bead here, a bead here, a bead here, 1 bead here, and I might have 2 in here. Then you have 3 rows. I only use this one, so then I fill up these 2. You know what happens? I get overwhelmed. I have too much to look at and I can't make decisions. So I stopped. That's why I stopped using bead boards. And instead, I put down a bead mat on my, like I said, I use a cookie tray if I'm in a different room. And if you guys watch me when I'm on my lives and creating, have you guys noticed that when I am done creating, I move that bead away? The only beads that I constantly keep in front of me are going to be my silver plated or gold plated. But if you guys watch me, I move them away. Because if I have them sitting there, it overwhelms me. And I have like literally never thought, I just have made these conscious decisions to do them. And I never thought about why until we're having this discussion, because I do get overwhelmed. So I'm glad we're having this conversation because it's enlightening me. Yep, and I've taken them all away. The only bead boards I have near me now are for when I'm doing my tutorials. And I have this one, and then I bought this one for bracelets because someone suggested it. If you notice, those are the only 2 bead boards that are around me. The rest of my bead boards, when I'm teaching classes and stuff in person, they are in a container out of my way, so I don't have the option to bring them out. And like I said, I use cookie sheets. And oh yeah, go ahead and ask it. My cookie sheets, and I used to have like 10 cookie sheets with projects on them, and I had to stop doing that. And I have to, at the end of every night, everything on the cookie sheets gets put away. I can't keep stacking it, because when you stack it and then you have that overwhelmness. So that is a great question, Michelle, about finding your target audience. It was one of the hardest things for me. I'm just reading Tuesday's comment here. Oh, see, and I've decided with myself, I have to finish a project or put it away. If I can't get it finished before I start on something else, it wasn't worth doing, put it away. For target market, it was one of the things that I struggled with for the longest time. Thank you, it's KG Tate, for the follow. So I have said it took me a long time to even get to what I had as my target market up until about 2 months ago, even last month. So probably a few years ago, I came up with what my target market was. Holy Nike, something fell down in our shower. Made me jump, sorry. So my target market up until just recently, I would say, is the 18 to 80-year-old woman who loves to change her jewelry out with the season, but not spend a lot of money. Because if you go out and look at my website, you will see that I have, I'm not one that charges a lot. I do not buy sterling silver for my jewelry that I'm going to sell. When I started doing and creating jewelry and starting my business, it was right before recession. And so I found out people were not willing to spend the money that it cost for sterling silver while they were in a recession. But I did find out that if I had something priced between $5 and $10, they were more willing to buy. So that's how I got into my the market that I am in, is just by watching my customers when they went to do it. You know, when I first started out, I had sterling silver. I had silver plated. I had things that were $5 and I had things that were like $40. It was a gamut. And you're not supposed to do that, but that's what I did. Then I went in and figured out, like, watching who bought. And it was women that are in this large age range. So from there, I was like, well, this is it. This is what I've got. Those of you that have been following me for a little while, I just recently announced I am working with an agency that is helping me with marketing. And it's geared towards the online marketing part of it. And they went into, they have access to look at some of my analytics of my website, of my social medias, and all that type of thing. And they figured out my actual target market is the 30 to 55-year-old female. And they came up with even more narrowing of it, not just the females, but like what social medias they are looking at, what they are, their histories and doing all that. And they got this analytics together for me and put it together. And yesterday we went over that proposal. Now, I know if you're just starting out, that is not something that you would probably want to spend the money on. I have been running my business for 17 years and finally just pulled the plug to do that. I wish I would have done it a little bit earlier. And that's one of the things that when we talk about, like with Zulie's, her next Saturday, where she's talking about how to promote and sell, I kept putting that part off. But it also goes back to, what goals do you want to set for the year, and thinking outside the box of how you're going to meet your goals. So it goes back and forth between the goals and the selling. Yes, I do. So for me, you guys are asking about what kinds do I sell. My price range of my items are usually between $5 to $15 an item. Just depends on what it is. I do necklaces, I do bracelets, I do earrings, I do different types of accessories. My items are pretty much one of a kind. Like I said earlier, the smoky quartz, when I said I sat down and did them, I did them in all sizes. I might have changed out and, not have any accent beads, have gold plated accent beads, silver plated accent beads. I might have put some blacker clear beads in there for accents to that smoky quartz. But I don't normally, I would say probably 95% of the time, everything is one of a kind, which is really hard for a business too. But when I started out, I was going to make like 5 of each thing. And if something didn't sell, then I was stuck with 5 of that item. And I just couldn't do it then. And so that's why I've gone into this niche of everything's pretty much one of a kind. When we get to like glass pendants or a pendant that we might buy, or, an earring that I'm using the setting for the earring, like the drusies, I may have more than one of the colors, that type of thing. That's where I get into more than just one of, but it's probably about only 95% is one of a kind. All right, you guys have great questions. You can keep asking questions. That's what we're here for today. And I go live when we do the chats for about an hour. So we've been about half an hour into it. So if you guys have more questions, please put them in the chat and let's ask them. If you guys, while we're talking, this isn't just me talking either. This is all of us. So if you guys have tips of how you create and don't get bogged down with your anxiety, please put it in the chat. If you have tips on anything. Oh, that's a good one, Zulie. Ooh. So for me personally, I didn't start out on TikTok, but that's because I have had this business for 17 years. So my background on how I got to where I am today is 18 years ago, when I left that job that I said sucked all my time. one of the first things that we did, my sister and I, is that we went and had a girls' day. And we went and we got our hair done. And then we went and she said, let's go make jewelry at this, or look, let's go look at this bead store. And it was funny, Kazuli, because you were talking about bead stores and such. This bead store was owned by a husband and wife. The wife worked full-time at one of the hospitals in the city that I'm near. She was actually a director of a department at the hospital. And her husband moved here with her because she took that job. And he didn't have a job. And she loved making jewelry. So she said, how about we create a bead store and you run it? So the husband ran the bead store. The manager of the bead store was another male. So it was predominantly, for the longest time, two men running a bead store. It was kind of funny. But they ran that. And then so we went to that bead store, and the actual owner just sat down on a Saturday, which is their busiest day of the week. And he literally taught my sister and I how to make a stretchy bracelet. And I'm like, this is fun. So we went to get more beads, and I made some at home. And then later on that week, my niece went with me, and we learned how to make other things. And I just kept going to different classes there. I ended up starting working there as a part-time job. But it was like 2 years in before I started doing that. And then I had already started my bead business by that time. So they accepted me knowing I sold jewelry, and I was a direct competitor with them when we did in-person shows, because they did in-person shows too. So we would, once I made jewelry for all the family and friends, I looked at my sister and I'm like, I've made for everybody, but I love it. And I don't want it just to sit there, just like you're talking about. And she's like, well, why don't we do a show? You know, you can do a craft show. So my first craft show was in July of 2006. And I did in-person shows all the time. I would do 25 to 35 a year, just depending on the year, up until the pandemic hit. And then when the pandemic hit, we didn't have in-person shows. But I had my full-time job. So I knew I didn't want to pursue going online at that time and trying to get people to purchase during the pandemic, because there were other individuals out there that the craft and vendor shows was their bread and butter. And they were flipping over, going in person or into like the virtual social medias and that type of thing. And I didn't want to compete with them, because that's how they had to pay their mortgages and put food on the table. And I had that already available to me by my full-time job. And so I took a year off from doing anything really with the business. I really didn't make anything during 2020. I didn't promote it. I didn't do anything. So all that momentum that I had built up from 2007 to 2020 pretty much went away in that year. And when I went back to doing an in-person show in 2021, I didn't like doing in-person shows anymore. I don't like it anymore. And I'm being brutally honest when I say I don't like it. So then I came on and created a website, and I wasn't getting traffic to the website. And I had to think about, how do you market it? And I thought, let's go on social media. So I created my TikTok account. What happened with my TikTok account is not what I was expecting. But in the world of anything, you have to pivot. And so I have pivoted. In the last year, I have totally pivoted my company, and I sell beads. That was not my intent when I came on TikTok, but the suggestion of everybody on TikTok is how I pivoted towards it. And after a year of doing that, I still love creating jewelry, and I don't want to give that up. And that is why I ended up having this marketing agency help me with how I can get people to my website. So literally, that is how I've pivoted and all the changes. So one of the things I want to talk to you about is that you have to be able to pivot. And I used to hate that word. We use it all the time where I work at full time, and I just hated the word because it just is but I don't know of a better word than what it really means is keep your mind open to change and see where change takes you into a positive, great place. If I hadn't done what we did a year ago, and it hasn't even been a year. It's only been 10 months that we made this change. I would not have had the best year I've ever, ever, ever had. And I am so grateful for everybody here for doing that. Okay. So Sour Rose, you have to understand, Friends, when you said that, I'm laughing now because Friends was one of my biggest love of, I would sit down every Thursday night and watch Friends. That is how my daughter got her name. And when we went to have my second child, we're trying to figure out which character or name we should name that person, name them, and we ended up not doing a friend's name. My best friend even has one of the Friends characters' name for her daughter. So Friends was a big thing in our household back in the 90s. Thank you. So what I was going to say is that you just have to be open. You have to start figuring out. Yes, I do have a I have I had a I have a DBA for a sole proprietor. I have two business names, just to let everybody know. So one of them is a DBA and the other one is an LLC. So I have both. I have insurance on both. So, yeah. And so I have tried to do the consignment and the stores and that type of thing for a while. It didn't work for me. There is another lady that is I live in South Dakota, just for y'all to know. And so I live near Sioux Falls. I don't live in Sioux Falls, but I live near it. And there's a lady that is one of my competitors, and she does a lot of the consignment, but she has actually really, truly made her name on Etsy. I know that people talk about Etsy, you're just lost, but she was able to market herself by doing a few of the in-person shows to get people over to Etsy. Well, and it's so funny, Zuli, you say Rachel because she named her daughter Rachel. I have Courtney and she has Rachel. So, and then, so it didn't work for me. It literally did not work for me to do the in-person businesses type scenario. I tried them, it just didn't work. But for her, it works. But you have to understand, one of the things you cannot do, and this is one of the things that I think Zuli will probably talk about, so I don't want to talk about it in depth. We'll let Zuli take that conversation if that's part of her presentation next week, is that you can't just hope that if I come on TikTok, it's just going to miraculously happen. You have to have a plan be how you're going to get there on the social medias or in an in-person environment, whether it be in-person vendor events or an in-person store or a consignment shop. How you're going to do that, you have to think about how can I promote people to go there. And that's really what is the hardest part. And that's where I want to say setting your goals will help you get there. So that's why, as Zuli was talking about this morning, I'm like, they go hand in hand. And it's like, we're two separate hours. So we're probably going to have a lot of go to Zuli's, or did you hear Carol's on Saturday? But they go hand in hand a lot. So they are they trying to buy you, they want to buy from you wholesale Tuesday and then turn around and they want to do the retail, but they want to pay you wholesale price and that doesn't give you that margin that you need. Is that what you're saying there, Tuesday? But the marketing part of it, when Zuli's title is about promoting and selling, the promoting is the M word. And I will tell you guys, my background is business management. I have a 4-year business management degree. I did not want to get my MBA. all because I didn't want to take a calculus class. That's what stopped me from getting an MBA. Is truly marketing was my hardest thing. So one thing that you guys need to realize as we're running our businesses, know your strengths, know your weaknesses. It is okay to have weaknesses. It actually is a strength if you know your weaknesses, because that is where you need to reach out to someone and have a mentor or someone that can do that on your behalf. You can't do everything successfully in a small business. You have to have help to get there. Yeah. And that's what I had a struggle with when I said I was in like consignment shops and stuff, is they weren't outright buying it at the wholesale cost, but they wanted part of the profit when they resell it. And when you get there, it was back to wholesale prices. And I just couldn't make it affordable to sell in that environment. And even in the small towns that I live by, they have the in-person stores that you're talking about. And I don't know if it's worth my energy to do that. You just got to figure out how to do it. And that's where come Saturday to Zulie's hour. Now, I forgot the time already. She's the last one. So is it from 5 to 6 Eastern, Zulie? Yep, I went through a rebrand when we went through COVID and I went to go online. I rebranded everything. So yes, you have that ability to do that. Okay, so yes. So Tuesday, join on Zulie. If you're not already following her, follow, and I'm pointing, sorry. Follow Zulie there where she says the us, and come join us on Saturday. She has all day long different presenters presenting different things. So we're going to have like what I call the tutorials, where they are going to teach us something. But we also have 2 hours of the day where it's going to be Zulie and I am going to be doing how to set goals and break them down. And she is going to be talking about promoting and selling. Like I said earlier, to me, those go hand in hand. You can set your goals, but you have to break them down with what she's going to be talking about. So we will talk about those more in detail on Saturday. I'm just really excited that when I gave her my topic, she switched hers, and they seriously go hand in hand. Thank you, Kansas Care Bear, for the follow. And I know there's been others as we've been on that have followed, and I didn't say thank you. So really, truly, thank y'all. So what other questions do you guys have? I literally will answer questions here to help you guys grow in any way, shape, or form. Whether it's that if you are the person that just wants to create jewelry to give away and you want to know about a certain technique, it's a week from today. I totally forgot about sharings and likes today too, so we didn't give away anything. I think we're okay because I think this conversation has been a great one. And for some reason, even with the algorithm, without sharing and liking, we still got people in it. So literally, we've had lots of people coming in and out, but we've got lots of people coming in and asking questions, and I love it. Okay, so I'm going to have Zulie comment again. So Latrice, when you see Zula Bella Boutique, and that's how I pronounce it, but I know I'm pronouncing it wrong. I think she pronounces it Zulie Bea Boutique. There, she's got you. Follow Zulie. It will be live on her TikTok from 9:30 in the morning until 6 p.m. And that's Eastern time. That's the times that she's done. What she does is every hour there is a different creator that will be on. She gives a half an hour break in between. And then, so I think she has like 7 or 8. I can't remember the number, but there's lots of different things that will be there. So for it's really truly a personal decision for you on your LLC. See, I never took Spanish. It's the one language I didn't take. I took French and Italian. But for my LLC, this is what it comes down to, is when you're doing it as a DBA, you are normally a sole proprietor. And so the actual, you are responsible for your company. And I don't know how else to say that you take all the risk of the company and such. When you're an LLC, yeah, okay, got it. Now that I see it that way, thank you, Zuli. But when you're an LLC, you're creating a limited liability corporation, and some of that liability, that's the word I should be using, goes over to the company and not you as an individual. So it's about how much risk do you want to take on for your company? And it comes down to, I'm just going to give an example here. If you are at an in-person event and you have a canopy and the winds came up, your canopy went flying and it hit somebody. How much of that responsibility do you want that to fall onto you or your company if there is a claim because it hit somebody? So that is where that's just a little minor decision to make. You have different things with taxes and how you run your corporation when you have an LLC, and you can even do there's different types of corporations besides an LLC that you can change to also if you want. What I recommend is when you have those types of questions, I am not an attorney, I am not an accountant, and I also don't know every state laws. So when I made decisions to go to the LLC, you can consult with an attorney for minimal, maybe just an hour or two of their time, or it might be 5 hours of their time. Yes, their time costs money, but it helps to get that information to make a decision. Contact your accountant and see what you want to do for tax purposes. I also called the state of, I'm in South Dakota, so I called the state of South Dakota, and I actually got a person who helped me out a lot on deciding what to do. Yep. So literally, it will come down to what you want to do. I've actually done events where the event planner made me have a policy because they were sued and they didn't want to take on that responsibility anymore. So I had to get my own policy. So having an insurance agent who understands your needs for that, you need to find one. Because my insurance agent that I was with at that time, it wasn't her forte for that type of business policy, but she found another agent in her, group of friends, and they were able to help me. So having people help you out, that's where I say you're not going to know every single answer to everything as a business owner. You have to find people that you can have as part of your team to be a business owner. They don't have to be someone that works for your business, but they help you out with it. Yep. And so that's truthfully with what Connie's saying here about having a venue that has it. Those are some of the questions that I actually do ask when I do in-person events is who has the insurance policy? It's one of the weirdest questions to ask, but you know what? That leads into the cost of how much I have in my whole business. And I've learned I didn't have a claim against me, but I learned it the hard way listening to other vendors go through some trials and tribulations. And when I heard that, it made me stop and go, okay, I need to ask these questions. So yes, I am that weird one. I am so analytical that I have a list of things I ask when I'm doing in-person events. It might be, how many vendors do you have of the same thing? I do jewelry. We're all here on a jewelry thing here. Literally the number of jewelry vendors. Your jewelry may be completely different from my jewelry, but in my mind, when I'm walking through an event, if I see 10 jewelry vendors and I saw 2 people that make aprons, type thing, and I might have 5 people that make blankets, to me, if you only have 40 booths, you have a lot of the same thing repeated. You need to have that. That's why I ask these questions about even not just jewelry, but other things. How many things are repeated? Because if someone comes in and they see that repeat all the time, they're not going to come back. They're going to be like, oh, they got the same ones again. You know, that type of thing. So you got to have a list of questions to ask when you're going to in-person events. I am not a good person to ask about flea markets or the open markets. Where I live at, we don't have those here as they do in other areas of the country. And so literally I've learned more about it when Zuli talks about it on her lives because I don't have the experience with it. So I think that's a good question for Zuli. Will be back. She was on for just a little bit today, not very long, but she will be back with her lives here starting on Monday. I don't know what time her lives are. She just pops on. So that's why I say follow her and then get notifications so that when she's live, you can go see her. But that would be a great question to ask her on her live and she can give feedback on that. Because I don't think that's one thing that we can do as a comment. But she does that. And I don't know if anybody else on here does them. But if you do, please let us know so that maybe you guys can connect. I just don't. We have one person does the flea market in Sioux Falls. And then they have a few of like what I would call the open markets or the farmers markets. But they can only take place in the summer. And some of them are very small and one is very large. But I don't do them because the larger one is always Saturday mornings. And that's at the time when I can do other events. Okay, so that makes sense why you would have it. We just don't have it here in South Dakota. And the person, and I literally try not to ever say any negative comments on here, just to let you know. But the person who does the flea markets also does a craft show twice a year, and I will not do her craft shows anymore. And it's because she doesn't look at the number of people that she has coming in with like items. And I just made a decision not to do it. And I'm not trying to be negative about her. It's just something that I have to make a personal decision on. So do you host it or do you go to it for that monthly craft fair? Because I have never hosted an event. Not my plan to do that either. Wow. Is it indoors then Tuesday? Because most of our markets like that you're talking about are both. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, that's cool. You'll have to give us tips and tricks on that because literally I have never hosted. See, you guys can laugh. We have to do them indoors in the winter here because it's so cold. But in the summer, most of my shows were outdoors. But I actually in the summer prefer indoors kind of because it gets really hot here. So when you're like 100 degrees outside and nobody wants to come. But if you're indoors when it's 100 degrees, they come. Yeah. See, we don't have very many that are the $25. So you're lucky you have that option. Yeah. It's cold here too. It was snowing last night. We're supposed to get a big storm on Monday. I work from home, so I'll be fine. I don't have to go out in it. Oh, that's really cool. So where are you where it's cold and snowing? See, and I don't do the ones where they ask for a percentage of your profits. So I just made a decision to not do those. It's snowing in Kansas? So I had a kid move from South Dakota to Kansas to get away from snow, and they've had more snow than we have since moving. So yeah, so you guys are all getting snow, and South Dakota didn't get any, and we're usually like snowed in by now. We're just not getting the precipitation, which is not a good thing when we're going to do crops. So you're probably in the same snowstorm, Heidi, as we are, because we're supposed to get it Monday into Tuesday. It must go all the way from South Dakota down to Kansas. Yes, there are some shows, Zuli, where they do ask for a percentage of your profit. So, like, I looked at you. So, oh, you're welcome. Come back and join us. I will be live Monday through Thursday, 8 p.m. And then Zuli will be live starting on Monday. So come back and join us again, Michelle. So, the percentage ones. So I don't know if you guys have heard of Sturgis. It's the big, huge bike rally. And my parents were into motorcycle. They were not a part of a any motorcycle club or anything like that. They were just enthusiasts. And that's what a lot of what I saw when I went out there. So I thought I make this bracelet that I thought would be really cool to sell out there. So I looked at a few places in such to do that. And almost everyone wanted a percentage of your sale there. Plus, the state of South Dakota gets a higher percentage of taxes during that time. And I was like, I just can't do that. So I decided not to do that one. But there have been a couple others that they wanted percentage of your sales. And I'm like, nope, not doing it. Oh, you have no snow on Kodiak Island? Wow. Okay, Kim, because it says Kim on there, so I'm going to just say that Alaska is the one of the states I have never sold in. So if you or someone else, my goal this year is to get all 50 states. So if you can share it with your friends, yeah, they do. The one in Sturgis, they do. Please share. I'm begging. I know I'm begging. I usually don't beg like that, but I literally am trying to get Alaska and Hawaii are the two states that I'm having a hard time finding people to follow me. Yes, they charged the equivalent of around $2,000 for 10 days for a booth. Plus it was 10% of your sales to have the booth. And then they do the state of South Dakota. Our sales tax differentiates, but it was our base sales tax right now is 4.2% for the state. They have a city tax. Almost every city in South Dakota is now 2%. So that took it to 6.5%. Plus we have a tourism tax of 1.5%. So now you are at 8%, and they have a 2% Sturgis tax. So it's 10% sales tax on top of everything. Yep. So yeah, that wasn't, yep. But you have to understand, South Dakota doesn't have a huge, we're lucky on how much we're taxed. That's why we probably will never move away from South Dakota in the cold. Because we don't have a state income tax here, and we live in the country, so we do not have a city tax. So like right now, as of today, the state tax is 4.2. It used to be 4.5, but it just changed to 4.2. So when we have deliveries for like our furniture and stuff, we just have it delivered because our taxes are less. Why do you think so many people have moved to South Dakota? Our property values have increased immensely because during the pandemic and everybody was able to work from home, they found out they could sell their houses in other places and buy a house in South Dakota for half the price and not have as much sales tax. So we did have, because of COVID, an influx of people come here. And it did make our property tax go up because people bought land around us to build houses. And they all came from all over the United States to do it. So our property taxes went up. Our taxes didn't go up this much, but our land value went up 240%, which increased our property tax by almost double. The joys of it, but you know what? When I look at it, we're giving back. Our taxes are to help our roads and stuff. See, California is right around South Dakota almost. Yep, and that's what so what happened is we really did get an influx from California, because in Silicon Valley area, because they could sell their house for $1 million or $2 million and get the same equivalent house here for like 300,000 to 500,000. Whoa, Lolly, I would love that. Ours keep going up. Can't believe 10%. And I was like thinking 10% was a lot. So yeah. So those types of things make this, and when we talk about taxes and sales tax, when you're online, you have to look at what your sales tax are. Wow. See, and that's the one place I don't want to buy a house. I want to buy a house in Florida. I want one in South Dakota and one in Florida. I want to be that snowbird. That is my beads. So here, I'll show you one of my trays here, Cindy. I'm going to put my lid on my pop so I don't spill it accidentally, because that would like make me cry. My Dr. Pepper is my life. Oh, that was not full. This one, I think. No, here, we'll go with this. Aha, I found one that's full. Okay, not all of them are full. The top ones usually are like partly full because they are the end of a type. So you get in these all the different types of bead containers. It's 8 foot high. So I do have a ladder to get to the top one. And so when we have tutorial nights and you guys ask me for certain color beads, I used to have pink at the top because I didn't use it very often. So I have orange, I have my animal beads, my alphabet beads, lava stone, and pink, because those were the ones I didn't use the most. But everybody wanted pink, so I had to rearrange and bring pink down because I couldn't reach them. I can reach the ones that are sideways kind of, but the ones that are stacked up, I cannot get. I have to have my ladder. This is 8 foot wide, 8 foot tall. So here, I'll show you. So I'm showing them on TikTok. Sorry, YouTube. So there it is. That's the end of it over there. And you can see my little mess down there. I do have a mess. And then over here. And this little thing, she is called Beading Betty. And it was so funny because I do have a granddaughter. We call her Buttercup on here. And she wanted to put something on Beading Betty the other day. So I haven't figured out what she put on there. I need to figure it out before she comes the next time. She's like, I gotta do Beading Betty. So she went and put something on her. I actually buy the beads wholesale. And so I've been buying beads wholesale for almost 10 years now. How I said when we were talking earlier, if you were on that part, I said I got into a place on TikTok that I didn't realize and pivoted my business. And it was because people were like, would you be willing to sell some of your beads? And I'm not always willing to sell my personal beads. But I do do a wholesale. So I do purchase beads to resell here. And it's not a full retail price what I charge for them. And I do those on Tuesday nights and like every other Friday night. I just had it last night, so it'll be 2 weeks before we do the Friday night one again. Oh, you're welcome. How I store my stuff until they're ready to sell. So if it is in when I was doing in-person events, I stored them in everything was in its own little plastic bag. Thank you, Grammy, for the heart me. They, so, and then I would put them in shoe boxes and put them in a tote to take back and forth. I have displays for my shows that I do not take down. I just fold them up and take them back and forth. So I don't have to put everything out. Sorry, I had to sneeze there. So then for the items that are on my website, I store them in the plastic bag still, but I store them by the SKU number that I've given them so that I can go find them and pull them, but they're in plastic shoe boxes too. So I'm a plastic baggie and shoebox girl for storing stuff. There you go, Chris. So yeah, and when I talk about the business part of it, I try to make it so that other people can do it with other businesses too, because we're not all jewelry makers. But the thing is that the one thing is that we're all in competition with each other because we all make jewelry or we all have businesses. But the one thing that's here on this page is everybody, and in the community, I should say, is not, we are not like sitting here going, ooh, we do the same thing, so I really can't. No, we are all here to support each other. We all live in different areas of the United States. We all do different things. We all uplift and support each other. Yep. And when you go to your insurance agent, one thing that I didn't know that you can do is, depending on who you have your homeowner's insurance through and where your business is located, sometimes you can add it on your homeowner's policy and sometimes it has to be a separate policy. So that's one thing to ask an agent when you're talking about insurance. But it all comes down to, where's the location of your business? Is it in your home or not? So you got to think about it from that aspect. My husband is like trying to decide if I need to rent space. And I told him, no, I don't want to rent space. And the reason being is I don't want to drive to go do this. I love being able to do this here. And when I get done with the live, I can walk a few steps and I'm with my family. So I made the decision, no, I'm not moving out of the house. I am now taking over more rooms of the house. Yes, exactly, Tuesday. We are not in competition with each other. We all have our unique style. We all have our uniqueness that makes us us. And when you find your customers, it's about, they need to connect with you. And if they can connect with you, that will make that person, that customer, yours. Can they buy from more than one person? Oh, of course. I don't buy my beads from one place. I buy them all over. So why would I expect customers to come in and only buy my jewelry? I expect them to buy from others. And we have to have that mentality so that we don't get into the negativity. We have talked about building a building on our acreage for me. So that is part of, do we want to do that? Exactly, Heidi. So since we are now officially empty nesters for this, at the end of this month, it will be 6 months. This is the most we've ever been empty nesters in our entire lives. Our kids has ranged from 28 to almost 21. Next week she'll be 21. And we are finally 6 months of empty nesting. So now I took over another bedroom. Yep, exactly. And I will say, my husband, when we went to build our house that we have now, I wanted a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,800 square foot house. I would have one of the bedrooms I was going to convert into my bead room once all the kids were out of the house, or once we had at least all but one out of the house. And we were getting to the point where our kids were older, so they weren't with us all the time, and we are a blended family. So 2 lived with us, 2 did not. He goes, no, I think we need a 5-bedroom, 3-bath house. And I'm like, no, we don't. No. I lost the battle, and we got a 5-bedroom, 3-bath house. He's now learning the 3 baths suck because you have to clean them. No matter if someone's using them or not, they still need to be clean. But I'm now taking over all the bedrooms. I've gotten 2 of the bedrooms so far, and I'm starting in on a 3rd. So I'm glad we have the extra space. But not everybody's afforded that. But yeah, I totally understand. We all have to do our business in the space allotted to us, and we don't all have this. When I sit here and talk about these trays, not everybody's going to have them. Plus, not everybody is going to be able to create doing these trays. So you just got to make do with what you have and grow and get to the point where you have to decide, do I need my own outbuilding? That's what we call them here, outbuildings. That my business would be in the outbuilding. I would 100% love that because I could walk back and forth between it and that would be fine. Just like he has his pony area, which if you guys all know, we were talking about that last night. My husband is a Mustang. He's a Ford guy through and through. So we have a, we just put an addition onto one of our outbuildings and all it has in it is Mustangs. He has enough room to get 2 more in there. And I'm like, do you really need 2 more? So yeah. So the trays are called Elizabeth Ward Bead Storage Solution Trays. You can get them in a lot of different locations. When I got them, I could go to a wholesaler and get them at a discount. That wholesaler is no longer open. Michael's bought them out. Michael's did not keep supplying these trays. So it kind of stunk. I've seen them at Joann's. I don't know if I've seen them in Hobby Lobby at all. And then also you can get them online. Oh no, he needs to drive it. Yep, Tuesday said there's similar ones on the T. That overwhelms me to go there, so I do not go out there. So I have not looked there. You can buy them on Amazon. You can just Google Elizabeth Ward Bead Storage Solution and you can find them. They are not something that is, you're going to buy all of them here like this at once. They can be spendy. It took me between 2 and 3 years to get everything converted over to this, just to let you know. And I have over 200 trays. So it took a while. Because I'm also the type of person with my business, I cannot purchase things and have a negative year. Okay. And they just had a big sale on them to get them to $28. When I saw them at Joann's, they were $40 a piece. You used to be able to get them at Walmart, but you can't get them at Walmart anymore. And when they were at Walmart, they were like $25. But I don't know if you can get them on their website. You could actually get them in the stores here. And we have 4 Walmarts in Sioux Falls. So when I was doing this, once the distributor that I was going to was bought out, I still needed more. So I would go to Walmarts in Sioux Falls because you can go to their website and see if they have them in stock. And we would go to all the different Walmarts and buy them. And the Walmart that I went to the most kept restocking them for me. And I could have probably asked them, but I didn't want to spend a ton of money all at once. I mean, when you're looking at 25-ish, 4 of them's $100. That was my budget for the time. Yep. I like the way they stack too. This was an investment, and that's what I want to say. I literally don't want to come on here and you guys see this and think the expectation is that it really truly was an investment. This cabinetry that I have them on was actually very inexpensive in my mind because it is actually from one of those closet organizing, where you can build the custom closet organizers. And this was a display model and the color was discontinued. So I got it for $200. Else, I used to have shelves that would have, like here, these plastic trays on them. And when you get to the plastic trays, and then and even on the old areas that I used to have, they're larger space shelves. I didn't want to bead if I had to move 10 of these trays to get a tray. I've limited it to like 6 is the most that any one of these has, because 6 is doable, but I don't like 6. I would rather have like 4 or 5. But to get all my trays on there, I had to do 6 on some of them. Yeah, and that's what I love about these, is that these all close. So if I want to make something, and let's say I wanted this one and this one and this one, I'm just grabbing, I can take these 3 and I can walk around with them like this. I don't have to take the whole thing, and they all close. That's what I love about them. I love it. Yep, literally, that's what I loved about them. And I can take these and walk down to the living room and sit with my husband while he's watching his car shows. Because let me tell you, when I say he is like a Ford guy, he breathes, lives. His blood is blue, is what we say. He is a car person through and through. All of our shows that we watch are mostly either going to be drag racing type shows, so Discovery Channel, Street Outlaws. I can tell you everything you want to know about it. Actually got to meet somebody off of that one too. It was kind of cool. But we watch all of these car shows and such, and drag racing. So that's what's on. Now, I know that's not probably everybody's cup of tea, but it's my time with my husband. I listen to it, and I do jewelry. And we can talk. But we have to have projects that if he wants to talk, we can talk. There are some projects that he can't talk to me while I'm working on. I'm just sitting next to you, honey. So yeah, but that's why I love these, is that I can carry them to a different area of the house. And that's why if I would ever have an outbuilding, that would be just my bead stuff. Yep. But see, he loves Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So we have Sundays. When I say we're Sundays during football is football. We sit down and we watch football. We start at 9 a.m. for football and go into the Sunday night game at like 10:30. So yes, football is our Sundays. So yep, so that is what we do. I was going to say, we went over a little bit, and I'm okay with that. Anytime we go over and we're having talking day, I don't mind. I was going to say, what we'll do is, I just want to let you guys know, we will be live on Monday. I have my schedule already made up. I haven't posted it yet. Let me grab it here, and I can tell you what we're doing. It might be a chat day again. Let me look. Yep. Monday, we will have another chat night on Monday. Tuesday, we have the bead sale. Wednesday, I am going to make what I'm calling suede strip earrings. That's going to be our tutorial on Wednesday. Thursday is going to be a chat night. All 4 of those are 8 p.m. Central Time. Friday, I have jewelry sales twice that day. One will be at 8 and one will be at 4 in the afternoon. So we'll be 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. Both of those jewelries. And then Saturday, because we're doing Zuli's workshop, I didn't want to do anything that day, but then I am actually presenting at her workshop. And so I'm saying I'm going to post when I'm doing that. And that's going to be, my time is 11:30. Eastern time, that's 12:30, that I'm going to be on Zuli's. And then I won't have anything else on Saturday. And then for Zuli, the next Saturday is where creators can present and sell their items. So I'm trying to decide what I want to do next Saturday, not this coming one, but the one after it. So that would be like Saturday, the 20th, I believe. I have to decide what I'm going to do that day, because I want us to support those creators. So I don't want to go live during their times. So I don't know if we wait until Saturday night. I'll have to see if Ryan's okay with that, because that's usually our time. Okay, it is on the 20th. So we may not have anything that Saturday the 20th, because I want us to go to Zuli's and support the creators. I know that's 2 weeks out, but I'm already thinking about that. Oh, your mom is so sweet, Rose. I don't know who is all selling on the 20th. She hasn't posted it yet that I know of. Well, Sundays I normally do not go live. It's very, very rarely on a Sunday. That's Ryan and I's day together. Saturday nights, or if he wants to go hang out with the boys, is when I will go on. And that's why I'm saying maybe I would do something Saturday night after everybody else sells. That we might do something. I don't know. I'll have to ask him if he has plans. If he has plans with the boys, then I'll do it. If not, then it's Ryan and I day. I just love your mom, though, that she listens. It really means a lot. You can tell her that if she's not listening, because it's in the afternoon, and I think you're usually with her in the evenings. So yes, that's what I love about our community. There's so many people out there, and there are people that don't talk in the chat, that they just listen, and that's fine. Hi, Shelly. And that's what I think is really cool, is that if I can share any piece of what we do with somebody and they got something out of it, that makes it all worth it. Really, truly. Oh, thank you. Well, and one of my coworkers comes on and she will watch too. And her family calls me the fake Carol, because they didn't expect me to look like I look. And so they call me fake Carol. I have not tried Whatnot. I will write that down and go look into it. I don't know where I'd put my pizza. I moved something and now I can't write down anything. I'll write it on here. Okay, I'll look into it. Ooh, that'll be cool. So I have to tell you, I've grabbed this pen. So as some of you that have been here, I am on the board of directors of a credit union. It's called Levo. It's a credit union based out of Sioux Falls. And so they have pens on the tables in little cups for this. And they're blue or they're brown. And I said, I need a pen. So someone went to hand me a pen and I go, not a blue one. I want a brown one. And they're like, why do you want a brown one? And I'm like, because it's black ink. Blue is blue ink and the brown or black ink. And everybody's like, you figured that out in the first meeting? And I'm like, well, yeah, and I write in brown. But someone handed me the blue and I took it, and now I have a blue ink pen here. And I'm not a big fan. Okay, I will go and look into it. All right. So Shelly, just to let you know, I was going to tell you something and then I went on a tangent. So I do different things here. We do bead sales on Tuesday nights and every other Friday. I do jewelry sales Friday afternoons and every other Friday. 2 days a week we have chats, 2 days we have tutorials. So we do different things. So please join us and come join when we do it. All my social medias, for those of you that are new, are out on my link tree. To get there, you go to CJS logo at the top, CJS logo at the bottom, and then you will go to my bio here on TikTok. And in the bio, there's a link tree hyperlink. If you tap that, you will see all of my different ones. So, okay, I'll probably contact you after I get some more info on it Tuesday, okay? So then go and just, if you want to follow or subscribe on my different social medias, because I post the schedule of my live events on my Facebook page. So those of you here on YouTube, go to CarolJo's.com, and down at the bottom of my website, I have all my social medias linked there. Because I don't think I have the link for Linktree in my YouTube. But you can do it on CarolJo's.com and follow me on all of them there. So, all right. I am going to get going because I am going to go invoice here yet today for everything that we sold on last night. So be expecting probably late, not early afternoon at all here, later afternoon, evening-ish, because we had 75 items and we pretty much sold out last night, which I am very grateful for. So I don't think you need to have sticker shock on any of them because we had so many people. I really don't think we're going to have sticker shock. So be okay, everybody. But I will go and do invoicing here. That's what I'm going to spend my afternoon doing. Everybody have a great day. Have a great weekend. And we'll see you Monday, 8 p.m. We'll have another chat time. Bye, everybody.